Hello there, creators. I hope that you guys are doing well. Right, so welcome to our fifth lesson on number pattern sequences and series. So if you haven't watched the other videos or the other lessons, please make sure to go on and check the other lessons so that you're not left behind. Right, so we're doing almost the last lesson on the number pattern sequences and series. So today we are dealing with problems involving simultaneous equations. Okay, so today we'll start with the one that is all about the arithmetic sequence. Okay, so now let us check here. The question is, if the fifth term of the sequence is 12, right, and the 14th term is negative 33, determine the first three terms of the arithmetic sequence. Right, so they've made it clear that we are dealing with an arithmetic sequence here. So when we deal with this type of problems, they'll always make it clear in terms of what type of a sequence this is. So if they're dealing with a geometric sequence, they're going to tell you that this is a geometric sequence. Right, let us quickly get into it. Right, okay, so now they are telling us that, okay, if the fifth term is equals to 12, so in other words, T5, we know that T5 is equals to 12, right? And they're telling us that and the 14th term is negative 33. So in other words, term number 14 is actually equals to what? To negative 33. Right. Okay. So now they're telling us, okay, determine the first three terms of the arithmetic sequence. Now would one ask, okay, how would we even determine the first three terms if we don't even know what the difference is? We don't even have the first term, right? Okay, so those are the first key things that we need to get, which would be the value of the first term, which is a, and the difference or the common difference, which is d, right? So how would we go about that? So the first step in such questions is to always create two simultaneous or two equations from this information that we have been given here, right? So first here, we know already that this is an arithmetic sequence, right? So, okay, I have a term number 5 being equals to 12, and I have term 14 being equals to negative 33. So what should I use? The general term or the general formula for an arithmetic sequence. And what is that? So Tn is equals to A plus N into, N minus 1 multiplied by D, right? So this is the formula for the general term, right, for an arithmetic sequence, right? So we know, okay, T5 is actually equals to what? To 12, right? So we would remember that what does Tn stand for? Okay, so Tn would be the value, right, for a specific term number, and this would be the number of the term, right? So in this case, we know that we're talking about term number 5. So n we're expecting to be putting 5 there. Then T5 we know is equals to 12. So we know that we're expecting to put the value here on Tn. Right, I hope that makes sense though. So as I've said before, if you don't, please make sure you check on our other videos. Right, so we know already that 12 is equals to A plus what is n? That will be 5 minus 1 times d, right? So 5 minus 1, that we know it will be 4. So 12 be equals to A plus 4d, because 4 multiplied by d, that will be 4d, right? That's your multiplication. So immediately when you do that, you know already this is your equation 1, right? So remember, we're dealing with simultaneous equations. So when we're dealing with simultaneous equations, we must always have two equations that we're dealing with, right? Okay, so let us continue. Now we know term number 14 is equals to negative 33, right? So we're still using Tn, okay? Tn is equals to A plus into n minus 1 multiplied by d, right? So we know that Tn represents the value, so the value will be negative 33 is equals to A plus what is n? That is term number 14, so that will be 14 minus 1 multiplied by d. Okay, then okay, now we continue with simplifying. Negative 33 is equals to A plus what is 14 minus 1? That will be 13, right? So 13 times d, that will be 13d. So that is your equation 2, right? So now we know, okay, we have two equations now. Then how do we go about solving for this? So the first step would be to solve for d, right? Because you can see that, okay, here there's a, there's an a. So why don't we just cancel them out and we be left with d, right? So, okay, so now how do we solve simultaneously? So you must know that when solving for simultaneous equations, we actually have two types or two ways in which you can solve simultaneous equations. So the first one would be through substitution, which is what we commonly used, substitution. Yeah, it's what we use to mostly. Okay, so the second one would be elimination. Right. Okay. So let us start with the substitution, which is what we used to. So how do we solve simultaneous equations using substitution? So we would first need to find between the two equations a variable that has a coefficient of 1, and when we find that variable, make sure that we make that variable to be the subject of the formula. So if you can see in this instance, okay, the variables that we have here, it's a and d, but you can see that, okay, the only variable here that has a coefficient of 1 is a, and also this side we have a coefficient of 1. So you can just choose which one to use, because in this case it's not always going to be like that when you solve simultaneous equations, but it's just that in this instance, right? So please make sure that you don't get confused. So let me take this one, or let me take the second one to be the subject of the formula. So I want to make a here the subject of the formula, right? So I'm solving now using substitution. So I'm going to make a the subject of the formula in this one. So I'll say a is therefore equals to, I'll take my 13d and bring it this side. So that would be equals to negative 33 minus 13d. Right, because you know that the minute that you take a number to the other side, it changes sign, right? Okay, I hope that we're still together. Then we know now, okay, that would be equation 3. Then after naming this equation 3, now we're going to say substitute this equation 3 into the equation that you did not manipulate, which is equation 1. So we're going to put that into equation 1. So it means that every time when we see a, we're going to substitute negative 33 minus 13, right? So in this case, we're going to be doing that. So here 12 will be equals to what? We say where there's a, we put what? Negative 33 minus t. So that will be negative 33 minus 13 d, then plus 4d. Right, okay. So now let us check, okay? What are the like terms here? So let us take this one and bring it to the 12 there. So when negative 33 comes this side, it becomes a positive. So that will be 12 plus 833. So what are we getting there? We're going to be getting 45 is equals to, then negative 13d plus 4. So that will be what? Negative 9d. So that will be negative 9d. So we divide both sides by a negative 9 because we're actually looking for d. So when we do that, we'll actually find out that, okay, this will be equals to what? To 5. So that will be negative 5 because you can see there's a negative there. So we've already solved for d. So you can, it was up to you. This one, you're also allowed to use this one and make it the subject of formula because you also have the coefficient here being 1, right? So it's up to you. It's up to you, really. So, okay, let us check. How were you going to solve this using elimination? So elimination is sort of like what you did, I'd say maybe in your grade 4s and 5, where you align them. So in this case, you see the in this order. So we'll start with negative 33 is equals to a plus 13d, right? So now I'm dealing with the second one, which is elimination. I'm just showing you different ways, right? Elimination there. Okay, so I'd put the second one beneath here, so that would be 12 is equals to a plus 40. So now you ask yourself, what would I need to do with this number such that the a will cancel each other? So in this case would be you minusing, right? So if we minus this, the a will cancel each other. So in this case it will be negative 33 minus what? Minus 12. So negative 33 minus 12, that will give us a what? A negative 45. So negative 45 will be equals to, the a's will cancel each other in this case. So that will be plus 13 minus 4, that will be 9d. So you can see that we coming back to what we have here. So d would be equals to a negative 5, right? So that's as simple as how you solve this things, simultaneous equation. So okay, we happy we got to d being equals to -5, but we still haven't answered the question, right? So now what would be a? So to get a, since now we have d, you can substitute this d to any of these equations, right? So in this case, I choose this one, okay? So take the d and put it there. So that would be 12 is equals to a plus 4 times -5, right? So that would be equals to what? -20, right? Okay, so -20 coming this side would be a +20. So that in other words would be equals to 32. So 32 would be equals to a, right? So we find a and we found d. Now, you see, so we're going somewhere. So now let us find the whole equation. So the whole equation would be equals to Tn is equals to 32, right? Then plus 4 times 5, which is 20, right? Okay, let me see the oh, right, we need to, no, sorry for that. So we need to substitute that. Okay, so let us substitute that there. So Tn would be equals to what is a? 32 plus into n minus 1 times what is d? That will be -5, right? So Tn would be equals to 32 -5 times n, that will be -5, and then -5 times -1, that will be a +5, right? So a +5 plus 32, so that would mean that Tn would actually be equals to -5, and this plus 5 plus 32, that would actually be plus 37, right? So to check if this, now we got the equation, but we not yet have answered the question. What was the question? Determine the first 3 terms of the arithmetic sequence. So now we have Tn. So what we need to do now is that where there's n, substitute 1 and get the first term. So if we substitute 1 there, that will be a -5 times 1 plus 37. So we're going to get the first one being equals to 32, right? Then we go on and substitute 2. So we're going to get what? A 27. Then we go on and substitute 3 where there's n, and we're going to get what? 22. So now we have the first 3 terms of this arithmetic sequence. So if you did not understand, make sure that you pause the video at any time and you listen to it again. I hope that will make sense to you, right? So that is the end of our problems involving simultaneous equations using the arithmetic sequence. So please make sure to check the next one, which is on geometric sequences. Thank you.